With Trayshawn Gore pulling out this weekend, we have a replacement fighter who is stepping in on short notice against Bo Nickal, and his name is Valentine Woodburn. I believe he is supposed to be fighting on the UFC Contender Series this year. That matchup got canceled. He's coming in on short notice. He is a very short and stocky guy with some good power in his hands and decent grappling, but he has fought some decent competition in his time at Combat Night Pro. I believe he spent the majority of his amateur career, if not all of it, in Combat Night Pro and his professional career. You can see earlier on in his professional results, he's got finishes but in first round, second round, and then first round as well. And then towards the guys that actually have more than 3 wins, 17-8, 30-16, more journeyman fighters, he is taking them to a decision. The only fight you can't really see online in YouTube is Lewis Mello, so I don't know exactly how well he did in that matchup, but for Wesley Martins, it did look kind of similar to the other fights, but he just could not get a finish. This guy is like a little bit of a roid ball, like a roid monster. Like he's a small, stocky dude who is super muscly. It's just a weird style that he has. He goes in for takedowns, he fails them, and then ends up hugging these guys against the fence, and then at some point, like halfway through the round, he'll break off and then use some of his power. He's got a right hook, he's got a right uppercut, he's got some decent knees also, but eventually, like, that stuff won't work against higher competition. The right hook, again, good power in his hands. Right uppercut, good power in that hand also. But I just don't see that landing on Bo Nickal. Like, it could probably land on Bo Nickal, and I think Bo Nickal needs to watch some tape on this dude, because if he doesn't, he could easily run into a knee or an uppercut going in for a takedown. And this dude's what? How tall is this guy? He's 5'8", and he's a really stocky dude. So if you want to find someone who is hard to get takedowns on, this guy might be the prototype for that. A small, stocky dude who's very strong. That can definitely be a little bit of an issue when getting takedowns, but Bo Nickal has such good wrestling. I don't think this is going to be a problem for him. I think it will be a problem if he does try to stand here. I'm not sure what a Valentine Woodburn would do against a guy like Bo Nickal. Would he try to clinch with them? Would he just try to land a good shot on him and try and catch him and then finish him up on the ground? Like, that's a possibility, but the odds in this matchup are the odds for a reason. Minus 2,500 for Bo Nickal, plus 1,200 for Woodburn. I watched the majority of his fights. I think the only fight I did not watch of Woodburn's was the Michael Joyner one. And honestly, they all look the same. Hug against the fence, like I stated before, hug against the fence, break off the fence, land some good shots, right hook, uppercut are two most basic moves. I believe he landed a couple knees in a couple different fights, and then puts these guys out cold. And I guess his whole thing is that he's the animal. That's his nickname. So what happens is the ref goes in to stop the fight, but he's still like on him, like, oh, you guys stop me. I think one of the fights was, I want to say Christopher Fernandez. I'm not too sure about this one. The ref stopped him, and then he like still went for a hammer for this. So I guess that's his thing. He won't be stopped or whatever. But I think Bo Nickal wins this one. If Bo Nickal just goes for the finish, just tries to win it, doesn't try to do stupid shit, doesn't try to like stand on the feet with him, which I think he probably could. You could probably do what he did on the Contender Series. You could probably land a right hook and scoop for a takedown and finish him up on the ground because his grappling's pretty good. I think his last matchup, he was a little bit nervous against Jamie Pickett, which that one, in all honesty, if you saw that fight and you were like, who's this Bo Nickal guy? You would not be too impressed, and you'd be kind of nervous going into the future matchups in middleweight. Even though it is middleweight and it's not really that skilled, you would be a little bit nervous. But after seeing that first matchup, I think it was just nerves. He couldn't really get the takedown on Jamie Pickett, which is worrying. Hit the nut shot, got him to the ground, and it took him a long time to submit him. I don't think that'll be a problem here. I think he goes in for the takedown on Valentine Woodburn. I think he avoids some of the bigger shots, or maybe he just tanks him, puts him down on the ground, and then submits him right then and there. First round. And then I guess if you are betting on this fight, maybe you I don't even know. It would be really hard to bet on this fight unless you're just trying to put a little bit of money. If you got some extra money on Woodburn and you just hope that he catches Bo Nickal, because you would think Bo Nickal wouldn't be doing this film or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you take a flyer on it. But in honesty, Bo Nickal should win this fight. Minus 2,500 is probably about right here, especially on short notice. We haven't really seen Valentine Woodburn against guys that are actually good. Like, he's fought journeyman fighters and brought them to decisions, fought not very good talent and KO'd them. So we don't really know where Woodburn is, but I just don't see him as that good of an opponent. He's very sloppy on the feet, although he does have power, very sloppy. And I just think Bo Nickal gets this one done. That's what I have for this one. Let me know what you guys think about the matchup. Who do you guys have winning? And I'll see you guys next time.